Hi, I'm Peter Knight. I want to talk today about the fun stuff in pitching, or maybe the challenging stuff. And that is that while you might have a stock pitch action, which you're going to use most of the time, there are also going to be times where you might want a pitch to fly a little bit higher or a little bit lower. You might want it to stop a little more quickly, or something else. If we look at just different options, first of all, with height, because this is really where most of the things are going to happen. And we look at some of the elements where we can manipulate height. So first of all, my wedges, I've got 3 wedges and carry 3 wedges, a 52, a 56 and a 60-degree wedge. Most of you will have a pitching wedge, which will have, rather than a number on the bottom, it'll just have the letter P or PW, or it might even have W. And that is generally around about the 48 degree. So you've got different amounts of loft on the club. That alone is going to change the height that the ball flies. The more loft, the higher it'll fly. The steeper its fall angle, so it's going to tend not to run forward as much. And the third thing is, because you're hitting it a little bit harder and you've got that extra loft, it's going to spin more. Because you've got to hit it harder, it adds an element of risk to the shot. So from a strategic perspective, where possible, hit a shot where you're keeping it lower. You don't have to hit it as hard, and it's probably going to run a little bit more, but most of the time that's going to be fine unless you're hitting over an obstacle and need it to stop quickly. So one option with altering the height of the shot is just to take a different club. Another way is to aim the club face differently. So if I set my club up, this one is a 56-degree wedge, and if I set my club up aiming straight at the target, I know there's 56 degrees of loft built into the club. If I aim the club face to the right a little bit, I'm going to add some loft. If I open it even more, I'm going to add more loft. Now, most of the time I'm not going to worry about that because I've got a different wedge. But that's one element that you can practice if you have, say, one wedge or only a couple of wedges. When you open the club face, don't go silly about it and open it 30 degrees or 40 degrees or something like that. Experiment with small amounts. The third thing, and this is sometimes the hardest element, is, again, if I've got my 56-degree wedge and I've got the club face square, then when I strike the ball, depending on whether my hands are over the ball, slightly ahead of the ball, or further ahead of the ball, is again going to alter the dynamic loft of the club. Now, the dynamic loft is the loft on the club at impact. So I can also, if I want to, maybe alter ball position a little bit. Let's say, so this is a 56-degree wedge. I'm going to keep the ball in the middle of my stance. If you choose to move it back, that's your preference, that's fine. But with a square club face, and when I strike the shot, I'm going to have the shaft leaning quite a long way forward, so that the ball is going to tend to come out really low. You can't see it, but it's run quite a lot. If I set this shot up, I'm going to open the club face slightly, have my hands just ahead of the ball at impact, and then when I play the shot, even watching the video there, you'll see that that took off with a much higher trajectory. And again, I'm just using the same club. Now, if I open the club face a little bit more, I'm adding to the risk because I want my hands to be over the ball at impact. And again, I'm just using my standard pitch shot, and the ball comes out even higher. I mishit that one a little bit. Again, that's just to highlight the risk. If you believe I did that deliberately, maybe not. One of the things though is that if you watch the video where we talk about rhythm with the swing, you'll find that my rhythm doesn't change or shouldn't change. With your pitching, experiment with different lofts, experiment with different ball positions, but don't move it a lot. Finding the way to get your hands in the right position at impact comes with experience. So I'm practiced at coordinating the movement so my hands are either well ahead of the ball at impact or marginally ahead of the ball at impact. That is just practice, but at the same time, it's not a hand manipulation. Have fun playing with those things, and you'll find that your pitching repertoire is going to expand massively.